you asked the question to start today's broadcast. What do you get when you have a lacrosse game between two teams with no losses and with two veteran coaches? You get yourself a highly anticipated battle, and that's what we have today here in Kenosha. On the one side, the Carthage Firebirds 4-0, yet to give up a goal on the EMO and winning 71% of their face-offs. The Firebirds have passed every test thus far, including a tight 11-9 win at Lake Forest 2 Saturdays ago. On the other side, the Calvin Knights out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. They too faced Lake Forest on a Saturday recently, 1 week ago in fact, and they beat them by a single goal. Both Carthage and Calvin have also recently faced Edgewood, and both did a number on them. Carthage as recently as this past Wednesday, when they topped the Eagles by the final score of 18-6. The Knights are 3-0 and also playing their second game in 2 days as they topped Benedictine outside Chicago last night, 16-10. The Firebirds, however, are also facing the specter of consecutive game days as well, with a showdown against Lawrence here tomorrow afternoon. The moment is now, though, for these two teams. 17th-year head coach David Neth of Carthage knows this is a great test for his group, and he's taking on a familiar foe in Dave Hoger of Calvin, who's in his 9th season and has what is likely the best group of players in his career thus far on his sideline. It's the Firebirds. It's the Knights. It's going to be a great one on a frosty day along the shores of Lake Michigan. Let's mix it up lacrosse style in Kenosha from Art Keller Field on the campus of Carthage College. It's time for Carthage Firebirds Lacrosse. Good afternoon, everyone. Dan Pfeifer with you high above the east side of Art Keller Field as today the Carthage Firebirds, with a record of 4-0 out of the CCIW, take on the Calvin Knights, who are a perfect 3-0 on this 2025 NCAA Division III lacrosse season thus far. They are out of the Michigan Intercollegiate Athletic Association. Mentioned the two veteran head coaches, David Neff, 17th year. He's got a win percentage of .670, 181 and 89 overall in his career thus far. He is excited about this group that they have. On the other side for Calvin, Dave Hoger, 9th season, 60 and 62 record overall, but they were above 500 last year. They're off to a great start this year. We're expecting this one to be a very evenly played lacrosse game, and we're excited to see what we can get out of Carthage's star players today, who will get one of their best tests of the season thus far. Andrew Johnson, reigning CCIW Offensive Player of the Week. He comes in with 10 goals on the season, but also a team-leading 13 assists. He is tied for the most points on the team right now with Alec Gurn, who has 19 goals and 4 assists, 23 points total for those two players. But it's really Ben Johnson that has created the opportunities for his teammates. He makes this Carthage attack so deadly because he goes out there and finds the open man in the right position to score. Remember, lacrosse assists have to be bang, bang. It's not like basketball where you can make a pass and the guy can make a couple dribbles and a move and go to the basket. If you're getting assists at the pace that Johnson is getting, he's finding guys one time on net, and they're open and finding the back of the net as well. Over on the other side for Calvin, we talk about Thomas Smith. He's their top scorer. He's a midfielder out of Grosse Pointe Farms, Michigan. He scored 11 goals on the season. He's another guy, too, that he's dangerous with what he can do. He's shifty, 6'4", he's big, 205 pounds. He's going to be a physical presence that the Carthage Firebirds long poles have to fight out of the back. We also want to focus on the face-off dot today as well. We talked on Wednesday night about Chad Coleman, whose face-off win percentage is up to a ridiculous 84%. Carthage as a team on the face-off has won 71.1% of its face-offs. But he's going to get a challenge today from Nate Hansen. He's the fogo for Calvin. He is a 6'2", 235-pound junior. Hansen has won 64% of his face-offs on the season thus far, 41 of 64 from the dot. If you can win face-offs, there's a good chance you can dominate the game. So we're going to see exactly how Carthage can try and counter what Calvin does. And there you see Chad Coleman trying to be quick with the wrist today. A little bit smaller than what you're going to get out of Hansen at 5'9", 175. But sometimes that can be an advantage from the face-off dot. There's just less motion that you have to try and get over the ball. So we'll see exactly how that works. Quickly, we'll throw up the starting lineup graphics for you to see who's going to be the first 10 out there for both sides today. We will start with the Carthage College Firebirds, as Andrew Johnson will lead the attack for the Firebirds. He will be joined on the attack by Alec Gurn. You see the starters up there. Sam Wallace, he'll be a long pole midfielder for the Firebirds. Jacob Cameron and Jake Westland as well. They can do it on the attack as well as short stick midfielders. George Mobrotten will be in the back for the Firebirds along with Josh Flores. Ben Kroc out there as well. We talked about Alec Gurn. Andrew Fry actually leads the Firebirds in shots on the season thus far. And it will be Jake Williamson, number 25, in net for the Firebirds today. Over on the other side for Coach Hoger and the Calvin Knights, We'll take a look at their starters real quick. Thomas Smith, mentioned him coming out of the midfield. You've also got Cole McKinney on the attack for them. Joshua Moyer will be the third attackman for the Knights. In the midfield, you'll see Christian Garrison, Ben Dilly, and John
Braden Carpenter. At midfield, number 28, Jordan Warners. On attack, number 35, Joshua Moyer. And in goal, wearing number 32, Carter Sherman. The head coach of Calvin is Dave Hogger, and he is assisted by Bob Everett, Scott Opel, Chad Wright, and Evgeny Gavorkian. And now your starting lineup for your Carthage College Firebirds. At attack, wearing number 1, Andrew Johnson. As a face-off specialist, number 7, Chad Coleman. With the long stick mid, number 8, Sam Wallace. At midfield, number 20, Jacob Cameron. At midfield, number 22, Jake Westland. On defense, wearing number 26, George Mobratton. At midfield, wearing number 30, Ben Kroc. On defense, wearing number 32, Josh Flores. On attack, wearing number 40, Alec Gerd. And in goal, wearing number 25, Jake Williamson. The head coach of the Carthage Firebirds is David Neff, and he is assisted by Noah Linder. Fans, at this time, we ask that you please rise if you are able and remove your caps as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem.
Star-Spangled Banner in the books. Let's play some lacrosse. Mention that it is a blustery day here in Kenosha. Wind 11 miles per hour right now. And it is coming from the north-northwest. That means it is cold, 27 degrees. 33% humidity, not a cloud in the sky right now, but sometimes that cloud cover at this time of year can actually hold some of the heat in. So you combine the wind and the conditions, and it is definitely brisk, I think is the best way to describe it right now, out on Art Keller Field. A little better than what we had the other night when it was rainy, but at least it was a little bit warmer that night. We are below freezing today, and it definitely feels like it's freezing out there as well. Battle between two good goalies as well today. Jake Williamson will be between the pipes for the Firebirds, wearing number 25. He has participated in every game the Firebirds have played thus far, getting his second start of the season today, averaging 5.15 goals against. He has allowed 8 goals in his time in net. However, he does have 2 of the 4 Firebirds victories on the season. He and Luke Bloomer have kind of been going back and forth at the starter position. However, Williamson kind of has the hot hand right now. He looked good on Wednesday night. On the other side for Calvin, it'll be Carter Sherman between the pipes. Interesting that they're going with Sherman, as Corgan Schaumburg got a couple starts for the Calvin Knights earlier in the season. Sherman comes in with a better goals against average, though. He has played in 3 games. He has started 1 of them, so he has participated in each of Calvin's games thus far. He does have a slightly better goals against average, 5.92, compared to Schaumburg's 6.73. However, he is not saving shots at the same rate as Schaumburg. Sherman, 53.8% save percentage, 7 saves for him. Schaumburg has seen more time. He is saving shots 60% of the time. Everybody touches gloves and heads to their respective sides. It'll be the Firebirds wearing the black uniforms today. Red numbers, black shorts, black helmets. Meanwhile, it will be Calvin in maroon with gold trim, white numbers, maroon helmets, white shorts. Right away, we see the face-off battle between Nate Hansen and Chad Coleman. We are underway, and the first battle of the day is won by Hansen as the Knights get possession. Coleman had only lost 7 face-offs on the season coming into this one. However, that is face-off loss number 8. Again, he will be challenged today more than he has been at any point this season thus far. So now we do see the Knights go on the attack for the first time today with it in the back. That is Jordan Warners. Warners comes forward, gets a slip screen, sends it back to X, and Calvin will work it around again. This is Kohler. Christian Kohler sends it back up top. That's Thomas Smith. We talked about him. On the near side, it's Warners again. Warners with the shot. That is saved. Jake Williamson gets action early. And he capitalizes on the opportunity, collects the ground ball as well. And for the first time today, Carthage will try and clear. Coming forward with it is Ben Kroc, sends it over to the far side. 10 left for Carthage to get it across the midfield stripe. They do, however. A successful clear on the first opportunity of the day. Carthage clears the ball successfully, 83.6% of the time. Coming straight to net, shot on, and that is saved off the stick of Alec Gurn. Talked about how he's leading Carthage in goals scored. The big body of Alec Gurn. Saves for both goalies to start this contest. That'll be a turnover for the Calvin Knights. As an errant pass goes out of bounds. And now the Firebirds will go on the attack again. Williamson will get the ball in his big pocket to start things out on this move into the attacking half. On the right side, that's Jacob Cameron. He had a good night the other night. 3 hat tricks for the Firebirds in that contest. That 18-6 win for them over the Eagles of Edgewood. Andrew Johnson. Saw him on the far side. On the near side now, it's Jake Westland. He'll get it back from Cameron. Tries to get a screen from Kroc. Well challenged by August Bryant. Shot. That goes beyond. They do say it was on frame and knocked beyond. Carter Sherman gets another save there. Fresh 60 for the Firebirds as they get it back. Coming forward from X, ball pops out of the stick of Jacob Cameron. Off-ball push. Possession goes back to the Knights. Garrison takes it forward, pauses before he goes across midfield. Now he'll bring it across. Knights set up their attack the way they want it. Little fake handoff. It'll go back to Cole McKenney. McKenney leads the Knights with 4 assists on the season, a paltry number compared to Andrew Johnson's 13. The Knights a little bit more creative on their feet. Firebirds do more on the attack off the pass. Coming around the back of the net, that is Nick Griffith. To the near side, Jacob Bledsoe. Back up top, rightly to Sarbo. Well marked by Britton Stanton. Trying to make a move at X, and we see some of that fancy footwork that the Knights like to use. To the near side, Bledsoe. 15 on the shot clock. Shot. They do say that Jake Williamson was the one that knocked that off to the side. So the Knights will get a fresh 60, and they will get possession back as they had the nearest man. Bit of a question there as to why they needed to reset the shot clock. They had done it already. Maybe there was an off-ball foul we didn't catch there, but they did put it back to a new 60 after the Knights sent the ball back towards midfield. They did get a fresh 60 after the shot went out. Nonetheless, it's Cole McKenney spinning back the other direction, sending it over to the far side. Almost 5 minutes into this one, still yet to have a goal. And that is a mistake on the part of Braden Carpenter. Not only did he go into the crease, he lost track of where he was so much he actually tripped over the back of the goal. Definitely a crease violation when you do that. Firebirds get it back. Ball pops out of the stick of George Mobrotten. And Calvin gets it. Braden Carpenter with the ground ball recovery. Bit of a mental mistake there from Mobrotten. Was just running with the ball. Didn't look like he was really challenged, and it just came out for him. Both teams struggling to find some momentum early. Whoever gets the first goal likely to take control of this game, and unfortunately for the Firebirds, it is the Knights who get it. Braden Carpenter is the one who puts it in the back of the net. It's 1-0 in favor of Calvin. Cole McKenney is the one who finds him. That's his 5th assist of the season. Carpenter now has 6 goals on the year. He converts on a little over a quarter of his shots, and it's Calvin with the first goal in this contest, 1-0. He saw McKenney get excited. Both he and his brother Chuck on this Calvin team out of Mission Viejo, California. Second face-off. There initially was Josh Flores, but it gets knocked out of his stick. It goes out of bounds, and they're going to give it to the Firebirds. Dave Hoger not happy with that call. He thought that it was last off of Carthage. It is a face-off win for Coleman. He is now 1 of 2. Firebirds on the attack, Andrew Fry. A healthy 25 yards away from the goal. You'll see the replay of the first goal now. And you'll also eventually see a replay of the first goal for the Firebirds. It's put in the net by Jake Westland. Westland with his 6th goal of the season. He goes upstairs, and the Firebirds equalize at 1-1. Goals left, right, and up and down on your screen. You saw both the goals in this contest thus far at once right there. Outstanding work by the production crew. That'll be a face-off violation for the Knights. Firebirds will try and get their first lead of the day. Rocco Paddock hands it off to Ben Kroc. Westland to the near side. Lucas Baki. There's the replay of the Firebirds goal. Meanwhile, live action, Andrew Johnson on the far side. Seeing if he can dodge August Bryant. He decides against it. He'll just take the ball back to X. And Firebirds will organize the attack from there. Looking for a double team. Ben Dilley. But that's a mistake. It results in a goal for the Firebirds, as open as Alec Gurn, and as Andrew Johnson loves to do, he finds the open man, and the Firebirds capitalize. 2-1. Carthage has their first lead of the day. Alec Gurn with the goal, his 20th of the season, and the Firebirds find themselves up 1. 2 goals within a minute, and the Firebirds have their first lead. New face-off man for the Knights, that is Josh Segura. Interestingly, he is listed as a long stick midfielder. However, he goes out there with the short stick when he takes face-offs. You do sometimes see some LSMs take face-offs. It's a little bit more movement to get that big pull over. Replay of the goal on your screen. That's the first goal. Scored by Jake Westland. Here comes the second goal. Little fake out action. One step, and that's all that Alec Gurn needed. Back to live play. At X, Colin T-Break turns around, shoots, and scores, and we're back to tied at 2. T-Break drops his stick after he scores and uses that as the opportunity to chest bump anyone he can find. He is psyched, and it is 2-2. Back and forth already. This is going to be one of those games where we talk about ties and lead changes, folks. You don't always see this all that much when it comes to the Division III level. A lot of the time, you see some mismatches. Guess what? This is not one of those days. Back to level at 2 as T-Break gets his third goal of the season. Face-off win for the Knights. Nate Hansen, far side. Coming forward. Shot! And that is the face-off man, Hansen, who takes that shot. Every once in a while, he'll get one of those Fogos. Obviously, their primary skill is trying to win those face-offs, but a secondary skill so often for Fogos is guys just taking off once they get that win, if they win it clean, being part of the attack and trying to take the long poles and the defense for the opposing team by surprise. Hansen tried there, was not successful. Back in the regular attack, the ball gets by David Blackman, but it is knocked back into the attacking half. That's the advantage of having those long poles back there, kind of trying to play hockey. Trying to navigate his way through all kinds of Firebirds is Thomas Smith. You got teammates, bud. He loses the ball, but the ground ball is picked up by Calvin. And they'll reset on the far side. Jordan Warners is the one who gets that ground ball. Shot taken and saved. Christian Kohler challenges Jake Williamson, but Williams rises to the challenge. Clear opportunity for the Firebirds. Ball on the ground again, and the Firebirds' long poles are just struggling with the clear today. Unsuccessful clear. Calvin gets it back. Calvin unafraid to challenge. That front six will not give up on things. Behind the net, Carpenter spins around. He loses the ball. Recovered by Calvin, though, Jacob Bledsoe. Hot potato, hot potato. Both teams may be feeling the intensity of this one early on, knowing that this is a good game, but maybe struggling a little bit with the pressure early in this contest. Outstanding test for both of these teams, unbeaten. 7 wins between the two of them coming into this contest. Ball sent over the top. Still plenty of time on the timer. Cole McKenney. We talked about his assist earlier. This time he takes a shot. But rising up to make the save is Jake Williamson on the bouncer. Clear is successful this time for the Firebirds. That's Kalen Schugel who brings it across. Johnson, far side. He'll send it backwards to Kroc. Firebirds reset. Knights shuffle some personnel. Sam Poupard comes back. Westland up to Kroc, over to the far side, and Johnson. Johnson looks left. Fry thought about it, then gave it back to Johnson. Firebirds looking for the right opportunity here. Kroc, far side Johnson. Back to Kroc. To the near side and Westland. Back at X, it's Alec Gurn. Gurn shifts directions. Firebirds work it clockwise, now go back to counterclockwise. Far side, 14 on the timer. Kroc. From the point, sends it into the middle, shot on and in, Alec Kern! Oh, and Kern is psyched as he finds a hole in the Calvin defense, then finds the back of the net. Second goal of the game for Kern. And Carthage goes back up 3-2. 3:44 left in this first quarter, and you are already seeing just how good of a game we have on our hands today here at Art Keller Field. Two quality Division III lacrosse programs doing battle this afternoon here in Kenosha. We'll get a push in the back against the Firebirds. That'll give possession to the Knights off the 6th face-off of the day. Replay of the goal. It's the way that Carthage likes to score, directly off the pass. Meanwhile, live action, Jordan Warners. Looking for a dodge, couldn't find it. Thomas Smith, he's been quiet thus far for the Knights. Trying to go on the dodge, Kohler, still with it. Back to X. David Blackman back there. Spin move. Pausing, turns, looks at the goal. Didn't get the shot to go, and he fell in the crease. Firebirds get possession. He'll try and go on the break. Little 10-man ride action from the Knights as the goalie Sherman came out momentarily, and it works. Firebirds are successful on the clear, but can't organize the attack. Ground ball won by the Knights, and they go back the other direction. Jacob Bledsoe. Far side. He'll take it to X. Stutter step. Looks to the near side. Blackman gives it up to T-Break. T-Break already with one goal in the contest. Couldn't find an opening. Ball on the ground. Struggle to pick it up for Carpenter. He takes a shot. Flag flies. And this is going to be our first EMO of the day. It will belong to Calvin. My guess is it'll be a 30-second technical for the push. Didn't see any stick action there. Get the indication momentarily. Nope. They are going to go with elbow, and that'll be a 1-minute foul. Well, don't see any elbow there. He did kind of lift the elbows up after he made contact, but the call is made against Ben Thomas, his second penalty of the season. Shot clock goes to 60, exactly 2 minutes remaining in this first quarter. First EMO of the day for the Calvin Knights on the EMO this season. The Knights, 7 of 9, 78%. Keep in mind, Carthage has yet to give up a goal defending the EMO this year. Opponents 0 of 12 against the Firebirds on the season. They're going to have to spend a minute trying to stop the Knights this time, though. Special teams have been so very good for this Firebird squad. Working it around. Shot taken on and in, and that is the first goal allowed on the EMO by Carthage. It is scored by Jacob Bledsoe. Well, it was bound to happen eventually, folks. It happens 35 seconds into the foul for Carthage. Commit one like that, and you can debate whether or not that should have been a 30. We also do have a flag at the end of the play as well. You see it right in front of the Calvin bench. Bottom left corner of your screen, whatever device you may be watching on right now. David Neff, not happy with whatever the call is going to be. See a replay of the goal, full screen right now. That will likely, I'm thinking that might be the off-ball push there against 34 Rocco Paddock. Goal is good. Unsportsmanlike conduct is the call against the Firebirds. and they're indicating it is non-releasable. And they're actually calling that against Thomas. So you release Thomas's first penalty, but you put him right back in. Maybe there was something said, some contact along the bench, hard to say, but Ben Thomas, he'll go right back to one knee. And after the Firebirds give up a goal, trying to defend the EMO, man down for the first time this season, they go right back to trying to defend the EMO as Calvin gets a second opportunity right after their first. Turning, spinning. Pass gets away from Jacob Bledsoe, but is controlled by Cole McKenney. McKenney, fake, shot, great save, Jake Williamson. Cole McKenney, faked high, tried to go low, but Williamson made the outstanding adjustment while in the air. And the Firebirds will continue to try and kill off this foul. However, the clear is unsuccessful, and the Knights get possession back. Josh Gage is the one who collects the ground ball. Still 10 seconds on the foul, 35 seconds remaining in the quarter. Towards the top, and Thomas Smith thought about a shot from distance. Instead makes a pass. That goes wide. Christian Kohler. The foul has ended. This time, Carthage able to keep the Knights off the board. We are tied at 3 with just under 20 seconds remaining in the quarter. Shot from distance, no for Thomas Smith. You can hear the hooping and hollering down there on the field right now. This one has been intense, and we're only 15 minutes in. Quick pause. Believe they are saying, yes, shot clock stays at 32. 12 seconds on the game clock. Both start. Nothing there for the Knights, and time will run out in this outstanding first quarter. 3 goals, both ways. 2 unbeaten teams, 1 great lacrosse game. We are tied going to the second period. This is Firebirds Lacrosse. Back to the action for the second quarter of a game that is tied through 15 minutes, 3-3. A few things off the team stats board. Thus far, Calvin with the distinct shot advantage, 14-5. That may have something to do with the fact that they were on the EMO for 2 minutes in that first quarter, where they converted once. Ground balls also in favor of Calvin right now, 12-1. However, 7 saves thus far in the contest for Jake Williamson. He is standing on his head between the pipes right now for the Firebirds, and he is keeping them in it as Carthage struggles to find possession. And we talked about the clears, too. Thus far, Carthage just 3 of 6 on the clear. Calvin, 3 of 3 on their opportunities thus far. Face-off won by the Firebirds. And in this contest thus far, the Firebirds just 2 of 6 on face-off. That is an unfamiliar position for them. They are used to Chad Coleman winning those face-offs left, right, up, and down. They do get this one, though, as they try and get that advantage back. Given the fouls, one could say, and even some of what we've seen on the clear, the Firebirds may consider themselves a little bit lucky to be in this position right now, being tied. However, we know how efficient they are on the attack, and we saw it on that second Gurn goal. How they are so good at finding the open man, creating those opportunities, off-ball movement, and slipping it past whoever may be in net in front of them. Today, it's Carter Sherman, the goalie for the Knights. And the man who is so dangerous finding those open men, Andrew Johnson, my apologies. Thinking of Alec Gurn, who has the ball, who takes a shot. That is saved by Carter Sherman. And on the race to try and be closest to the ball as it goes out, we get a push in the back call against Gurn. Possession goes to the Knights. It is the Knights goalie, Sherman, who takes it 20 yards out of net. He tries to send it forward, but it gets away from Braden Carpenter. That is an unsuccessful clear for the Knights. Taking it to the far side with possession are the Firebirds, Jake Westland. Westland pauses with the ball, allows his teammates to get set. Andrew Fry comes on along with Ben Kroc. Kroc to the near side, Johnson. He'll send it back to Kroc. Firebirds middies, all getting a touch. Westland. Kroc. Ben Kroc, senior, Vernon Hills, Illinois, to the near side, Johnson. Gets away. Rare turnover by Andrew Johnson. He'd only committed 6 on the season coming into this one. But on the clear, Calvin does get it across, but it is lost. They get it back, though, near midfield. Nobody wants the ball right now. Calvin takes possession. Cole McKenney says, you know what, forget this passing stuff. I'm just going to run forward with it. On the right wing, it's Nick Griffith. Back to Cole McKenney. He'll find Jacob Bledsoe coming forward from the back. Bledsoe to X. Turns, goes back the other direction. Just moving around the edge of the crease. Sends it outside. Cole McKenney, shot. Too high. The Knights are closer. They'll reset with 43 on the timer. 3-3. It's been a good one so far. We've seen defense, we've seen pressure. We have seen some mistakes, do not get me wrong. But two very evenly matched teams doing battle here in Kenosha today. Good pass in front, but it bounces off the stick of Braden Carpenter, and the ground ball is picked up by the Firebirds. Behind the net, a lot of chasing going on. Stick hit from behind. Good decision by Williamson to try and come forward and get the ball, but then he's got to think about guarding the net. However, we'll get a foul against Calvin. But then on the pass to the outside, that goes out of bounds. It's almost as if we're seeing both teams, knowing how equally matched they are, trying to do too much, playing too fast right now. And we'll get another call. They're going to say this is Carthage possession. The call was made by the back official. Clearly looked like a pass that went out of bounds. Maybe something happened off the ball there. Not quite sure. Possession goes back to the Firebirds. They'll take it. Landon Bakke. Back to the top in Sawicki. Timeout taken by the Firebirds. And to be honest with you, might be a good time for one of these timeouts as everything just feels a little bit scattershot right now on both sides of the field, both for Carthage and for Calvin. An opportunity here for David Neff to bring his group over, talk to them, and keep them organized. Maybe get them back on the same page. We will take time out as well. 11:13 remaining in the second quarter, tied at 3. This is Firebirds Lacrosse. Disco Inferno action by the Tramps. Something out of the 70s for you. Firebirds Inferno. You get it? I know you do. 3-3 is your score. With 11:13 remaining in the second quarter. Spinning all the hits of the 70s, 80s, 90s, and today. Here on live.carthage.edu. Dan Pfeifer with you this afternoon. Very happy to be joining you again. This is the second of 3 straight Carthage home games that I have the opportunity to voice. My thanks to Peter Ferrari, who is working some of the other events that are going on. The many events going on around the Carthage campus this weekend. Shot taken by Andrew Fry, but the laser beam is corralled by Carter Sherman, and the Calvin Knights will try and go back the other direction. Always happy to come down here to Kenosha, and my thanks to Peter for passing my name along to the one and only Sam Boyle. Turnover for Calvin. He's dancing around at midfield. I was a little bit surprised there that Calvin was just kind of in pause there. It looked like they were very disorganized on that clear attempt. Clears have been a struggle on both sides today. Pull up the numbers real quick because it has just been difficult both ways. Both teams 4 of 7 right now on the clear. Got to be honest with you. As we see a flag fly, contact made up high. That's going to go against August Bryan. First EMO of the day upcoming for Carthage if they don't score here. Bryan almost doubling things up too by swinging his stick at Johnson. Johnson shot wide. There is a second flag behind the goal as well, so we'll check on that. Maybe for the same foul, maybe for a different foul. We'll see. Conversation between the two referees. One will come over and give us the signal. August Bryan already knows that one foul is going to be on him. He heads over to take a knee. Now we'll look for the indication. Contact to the head, 1 minute, non-releasable, and that will be the only foul. However, EMO time for the Carthage Firebirds. Firebirds have been good on the EMO this year, 10 of 14, converting 71% of the time. And if they can get a goal early in this EMO, with the non-releasable foul, they could potentially get a second opportunity a man up. To the top, Croc, near side, Johnson, fakes the shot, sends it over to the far side. Firebirds trying to work it around, ball pops out of the stick of Westland. You look at Westland and Cameron. Shot wide. Cameron 3 goals, man up this year. Westland 2. Croc also with 2 goals on the EMO. However, 27 seconds now remaining in this foul. That ball gets away from Johnson. Calvin knocking it about. Swing of the stick. Johnson kicks it away, and it'll be picked up by Calvin. Ground ball won by Josh Gage. He had 8 ground ball pickups on the season coming in. And that may allow Calvin to get away with being a man down for a minute without any damage being done. And indeed, the foul does end. Calvin's able to shuffle their normal attacking personnel on, and Carthage does not take advantage, being up a minute. Tough moment there for the Firebirds on the special teams. Little flick of the wrist shot for Thomas Smith. Not much pace behind that one. It goes out, and the only people there are wearing black shirts. Firebirds possession. Kind of a sneaky shot by Thomas Smith there, but sometimes those unplanned shots have unplanned results, and for Smith in that instance, it didn't work out for him, as really, the Knights were not in attacking position just yet. Tried to sneak one past Williamson. Maybe a little bit of frustration. Smith has struggled a bit on the attack today. Issue with the clock. Looks like the possession timer did not start on time. Looks like actually the clock stopped at 8:30. So they run 10 seconds off both the game clock down to 8:20 and the possession timer to 65 seconds. Near side, Ben Kroc, once we get things started again. Couple dodges. Looks to make a pass, then takes a shot. That goes well over. Splashes some snow over on the mountains of what has been cleared off of Art Keller Field. Yes, that is snow, although there's a good deal of rubber pellets in that stuff as well. That's why it looks a little bit like a mini version of the Rocky Mountains. Flag flies, and we're going to have another EMO for the Firebirds, as that is a push in the back. Coming over to take a knee for Calvin, Drew Garrison. 1 minute for slashing. And it's another EMO for the Firebirds. They'll try and do better with this one than they did with the last one, where they could not convert. Still tied at 3. That was the score we had at the end of the first quarter. We are now 7 minutes into the second. Firebirds trying to change that, though. Near side, Kroc. Sheds the defender, Johnson. Looking for Gurn, can't find him. Firebirds maintain possession, though. Johnson. He'll take the shot through 2 defenders, and somehow it finds Twine. Oh, goodness. Andrew Johnson. Unintimidated. Unstoppable. And that's a goal on the EMO. The Firebirds go back up 4-3. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. And when the 2 Knights defenders saw Johnson winding up, they said, "We choose the latter." That put Carter Sherman, the Knights goalie, in a very tough position, and he could not get that stick up to the near side corner in time. That is a pretty looking goal for Andrew Johnson. Known for his assists for sure, but he can also get you when he puts it on frame as well. Possession claimed for the moment by the Knights, although we will get a whistle and a call against Calvin. Let's see that goal on the replays. Johnson will take it on the near side after the Firebirds work it around. Here you see Johnson get this ball. You see the 2 defenders slide. And a business decision made by August Bryan, the senior midfielder. Yeah, I don't want any piece of that in my grill. Goodness. Put a radar gun on that shot for Andrew Johnson. Scary. Gurn, near side, off the stick of the Firebirds. Possession will go back to Calvin. Well, this has been the problem here today is, yes, the Firebirds have had some highlight reel moments in this contest thus far, but it's been the consistency thus far that's been an issue. You go up 1, you get possession, you have an opportunity to go up 2, but you commit another turnover, and now Calvin has a chance to make this tied once again. McKinney, far side. Kohler, back to McKinney. Up top, Warner's. Near side, Thomas Smith. We know he's unafraid to shoot. Loses his footing momentarily near the gridiron football 20-yard line. Takes a shot, though, and it is in, and just like that, Calvin makes it tied one more time. Did we not say Thomas Smith is unafraid to shoot? Give him a small window and he will climb through it. First goal of the game for Smith. The leading goal scorer for the Knights coming into this contest. But it doesn't take much, and Smith makes it 4-4. This one's been fun. I'll tell you what, folks, I am not a life lacrosse fan. It has been a sport that has come to me. I first started following the sport when it came to Wisconsin in the Division I form at Marquette. But I have grown to really appreciate the speed, the physicality, the skill involved with this sport. And we're seeing some of the best that you will see in terms of competition at the Division III level in what we're seeing today. Great shots, great defense. The highlights have been memorable in this contest thus far. Again, there have been mistakes, don't get me wrong. Number of drop passes, that consistency factor. But two very evenly matched teams, unsurprisingly, an even score as well, 4-4. Calvin trying to retake the lead. Taking that shot more so with the hand up the stick. David Blackman, he got hit as he tried to shoot. Maybe not the best decision by Blackman there. Knights lose possession. On the clear, Carthage, successful. Gurn holds on to it. He'll take it back. Challenge made by Christian Kohler. And it's a successful challenge. It shakes up Gurn enough that the Knights are able to get possession. Dylan Mounts, long pole, gets a hold of it. David Blackman with it now. And once again, the Carthage Firebirds just struggling to get the ball into the attacking zone. When they've been there, they've been good. It's getting there, that's the problem. T-break. He's got a goal already. Far side, ball gets away from Nick Griffith. It's collected by Jacob Bledsoe. Back to the far side in Griffith. Goes sidearm, shot is blocked. Right there for it is Colin T-break, and he's able to just let it roll across the end line. He is obviously the closest one to it. T-break up quickly. Hits. Loses the ball as he thought about shooting. It is controlled, though, by Calvin. Cole McKinney again. Far side T-break. Trying to make a move on Kagan Schugel. Takes a shot. Wide of the mark to the far side of the goal. Possession stays with Calvin. Braden Carpenter comes over from X and is the closest man. Carpenter will restart things. 14 on the timer for Calvin, as neither of the shots they've taken on this possession thus far have found frame. That one goes wide. A dive for T-break, and that is what gives Calvin one more chance. 4 seconds, though. T-break's going to have to find somebody fast. 3, 2, shot clock runs out. Possession goes to the Firebirds. T-break might not have been conscious of the timer there. It's in different places in different stadiums. This being a football field here at Carthage, they use the play clock for the football games as the shot clock as well. So maybe didn't see it all the way down there in the far corner. It was right behind him as he took the ball out in terms of what you see on the north side of Art Keller Field. Coming forward with it, the Firebirds. They touch it up. And it's Ben Kroc, as we'll get a timeout taken by Carthage. That is their second of the half. Only one goal for each side thus far in the third quarter, after both sides scored 3 goals each in the first quarter. That's why it's tied at 4 with 2:54 remaining in the second. This is Carthage Firebirds Lacrosse. .254 remaining in the second. 4-4 your score as the Carthage Firebirds do battle with the Calvin Knights out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Here at Art Keller Field in Kenosha, Wisconsin on a blustery, cold day with the wind blowing out of the north. This time of year, if the wind is blowing off the lake, it is a cold wind, but the worst wind you can get in terms of pushing that temperature down is that wind that comes out of the north, and that's what we have today. That is why cooler conditions than what we've had a lot of the week here in Wisconsin, where it's been in the 50s. Unseasonably warm at the end of February. Not today, though. See the long sleeves on a number of the players out there right now, including Ben Kroc. Sends it over to the far side, but gets it back. Tries to dodge. Can't get it. Shot from the far side. That'll go wide of the mark. Jake Westland trying to make a statement. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Gurn, let's see what he decides to do with it, knowing the time is running down. Gurn takes it to X. 5 on the timer. See that shot clock in the background? Gurn's just going to throw this one away, I think. Nope, he's going to continue running with it, and he's just going to drop it. In the end, the Firebirds just can't get anything going, and that's another turnover. Calvin, with 2 minutes left here in this half. Opportunity to take the lead, but offense has been a struggle for both teams here in this second quarter. Up to Thomas Smith. Saw him with the goal earlier. An outstanding goal, his first of the game. 12 now on the season for him. That does lead the Calvin Knights. Smith takes another shot, and that one is in. Thomas Smith. Give him a moment. He can give you a goal. And he also gives the Knights the lead, 5-4. Smith unassisted, and you can see why the Calvin Knights have the number of unassisted goals that they do. When you've got a talent like Smith, so quick with his 6'4", 205-pound frame, you don't need to find him with a pass. He can do the work himself. Here's that face-off battle between Coleman and Hansen. Both go to the ground. Scrap for the ball. Goes up in the air, and it is won by the Knights. Christian Kohler is there to pick it out of the sky. Can the Knights go up 2 before the half? Timeout taken by Calvin. All of a sudden, the momentum is on the Knights side after the second goal of the game for Thomas Smith. They have a 1-goal lead, 5-4 with 1:17 left in the second. This is Firebirds Lacrosse. Calvin 5, Carthage 4. Thomas Smith. 2 goals now for Calvin. And when you talk about this Calvin Knights team coming in 3-0 on the season, a lot of attacking talent. Drew Garrison has been good on the defensive side for Calvin. He was the defensive player of the week last week in the MIAA. Jordan Warners has already been the offensive player of the week in the MIAA. We've seen Warners and mentioned his name a bunch today, but so far Thomas Smith is the one that leads the Knights with 2 goals. 13 now on the season for him. 1 minute remaining in this second quarter. The Knights trying to make it a 2-goal lead. Up top, shot, nice save, Jake Williamson. Williamson continues to be outstanding between the pipes for the Firebirds, as he was on Wednesday night as well. Near side, Andrew Johnson. Firebirds can make this the last possession of the half if they want to. They're going to want to get a shot off sometime in the next 27 seconds. Fry trying to work around Joe Alluri. Sends it back. To the near side. Johnson tries to go to that same corner he scored his last goal on, but this time, Carter Sherman is there. 8.7 seconds remaining. Spinning around. Kern finds some room. Shots! And it's saved by Sherman. Carter Sherman with two good saves to end the half. And that is why the Knights will go into the locker room with a 1-goal lead. Some great goalkeeping to end the half from Carter Sherman. The senior goalie out of Ada, Michigan, 5'7", 180 pounds. He did allow the 1 goal to Johnson in the second quarter, but that was the only goal he allowed in the quarter. Meanwhile, Thomas Smith gives the Knights a 5-4 lead, and that's your score as we head into the half. We'll have some halftime stats. We'll certainly have some highlights, and we'll talk about what to expect in the second half of this contest coming up in just a few moments. We'll take a break, though, first at the half here at Art Keller Field. 5-4, Calvin up on Carthage. This is Firebirds Lacrosse. back on live.carthage.edu. Dan Pfeifer with you from Keller Field in Kenosha on this cold final day of February, where, yes, the Carthage College Firebirds are down right now to the Calvin Knights 5-4. You see some halftime stats on your screen there. Unsurprisingly, Carthage, 3 assists on their 4 goals, but we have talked about just what talent like Thomas Smith can do on their feet when they have possession. That's why Calvin, not as much of a team to try and one-time shots, more one that likes to take shots on the run, only has 2 assists on their 5 goals thus far. 24 shots in the contest for the Knights, 13 for the Firebirds, also 21 ground ball wins for Calvin versus just 7 for the Firebirds. And this is something we're going to talk about. Clears equal at 9-12, but the turnovers right there, and this is a focal point number that we want to point out here. Carthage with 9 turnovers, and we can look at caused turnovers as well. Because for the Calvin Knights, they have caused 6. Carthage has caused just 2. Unforced errors have been an issue in this contest. And let's give some credit, obviously, to the Calvin defensive players. Over Josh Gage, long pole, Livonia, Michigan, senior, 6'1", 200 pounds. Over the course of this game, he has caused 2 turnovers, and there have been 4 other Calvin Knights that have caused 1 turnover. Coming into this one, Gage had caused 7 turnovers. That led the Calvin Knights coming into this contest. And you can see he's just been a disruptive force for them with his long pole. And it hasn't even just been the caused turnovers. It's been the way that Carthage has been rattled when it's come to trying to clear the ball. And some of those numbers did adjust there during that second quarter, where it seemed like neither team could... There were some points in that second quarter where it seemed like both teams were really scrambling around, trying to figure out what they wanted to do with possession. But if there's anything that David Neff is telling his team in the locker room right now over in the Tark, it's that, hey, we've got to do a better job of taking care of the ball in the second half, because it's not like Carthage hasn't had some success when they've had good possession. It's having that good possession. It's getting the ball into the attacking half that has been the struggle today for Carthage. Calvin, very active all over the field. Again, they're a team that likes to move around a lot. And with the ball, without the ball, they're skilled. They're physical. They're a fast team. And they use that to their advantage. So if you're Carthage, you've got to be a little bit smarter. You've got to make the easy pass, and that can make a difference in the third quarter of this contest. Hey, before we take it to one more break before the start of the second half, let's take a quick look at everything else that is going on this busy weekend here on the Carthage College campus. You can check out all of these events on live.carthage.edu. Also going on today, right now, the CCIW Indoor Track and Field Championships going on at this moment. You can check those out if you're tired of listening to my voice. Also at 7:30 tonight, it'll be the CCIW Men's Basketball Championship game. The Carthage Firebirds trying to earn a berth in the NCAA tournament as they take on Illinois Wesleyan tomorrow. We'll be right back here at Keller Field. Mentioned that Carthage playing 2 men's lacrosse games in 2 days. It'll be the Firebirds and David Neff's squad taking on Lawrence University tomorrow. On Wednesday, men's volleyball, of course, the outstanding program here at Carthage. They'll be taking on North Park. Meanwhile, 2 weeks from now on Wednesday, lacrosse will be back, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They'll take on Northland. Put that on in the background while you are working on your spreadsheets or whatever you may be doing at your office that day, if you are even in an office. A lot of folks working from home now. I know I am fortunate to be able to do that as well. That's what you'll see on live.carthage.edu. Bookmark that page and go back to it often. Heck, even spend some time on that page when there isn't anything going on. Keep in mind, too, if you visit Carthage's social media sites, you will see that there are other programs in addition to, obviously, the live broadcasts that go on. Conversations with the athletes, opportunities to go on the inside with the program, all that and more. Live.carthage.edu. Also, make sure to follow the Carthage Firebirds on all your favorite social media channels. The Firebirds do come back out onto the field at the end of halftime. We will take a quick pause before we come back with the second half. 5-4, Calvin has the lead going into the third quarter. This is Firebirds Lacrosse. We said it was a quick break, and we meant it. That was basically 10 seconds for station identification right there. Firebirds run right out onto the field. They send their first 10 out pretty much without any warm-up. Taking a little bit of extra time to talk things over in the locker room. Understandable for David Neff, again, with those 9 turnovers in the first half. And Firebirds just trying to play a little bit cleaner of a game here in this second half, as we do see that great face-off battle between Chad Coleman and Nate Hansen to start the second half, and it is won by Coleman. Firebirds get the first possession of the second half. Sent back to Ben Kroc. Coleman, 4 of 10 on the face-off today. Again, he had only lost 7 coming into the contest. Leaping shot on the part of Jacob Cameron. It's knocked up and over the goal. Fresh 60 for the Firebirds. Gurn trying to come to the near side, met immediately by Drew Garrison. He'll send it back the other way, Westland. Fry. Good spin move, shot is blocked, gets it right back, sends it over to Gurn. Firebirds try and take advantage of the chaos, but the ball is deflected on the attempted pass by Gurn. Gurn does get it back. Johnson came over to help. Johnson at X. He'll take the ball. Gives it back up to Gurn. Firebirds readjust the attack. 20 on the shot clock. Around a screen, Ben Kroc. He gives it up. Westland to the far side. Spin move. Shot for Fry. That goes wide. 4 on the timer. Actually, it even goes down to 3 before they stop the clock. And the Firebirds are just going to sacrifice this possession. Nothing there for them. They can't score despite the fact they get the ball first in the second half. Calvin forces the Firebirds into their 10th turnover of the game. That's a team turnover right there with the shot clock violation. Carter Sherman looked pretty good in the first half for the Knights. Had a couple big saves at the end of the half for them on the far side. David Blackman looking for a screen. Tries to hand the ball off. Contact. That might have been a mistake. Then almost getting past Thomas Smith as he saves it from going across the midfield stripe. Now Smith comes forward with it. We know how dangerous he can be. The equivalent of a quarterback with a quick release. All he needs is a moment. And guess what? They leave him alone. He decides to take the shot on the bounce. But not his best effort, Jake Williamson. Plenty of time to see that one. Put it in his pocket. And get Carthage going the other direction. But that is a mistaken pass. A pass with no one in the area. Not even sure there what George Mobrotten was thinking on that pass. Swat losing his stick. Mobrotten. Maybe some frustration. It's hard to explain some of what's going on here for Carthage. Mobrotten threw it about 40 yards down the field on the clear, and there were nothing but red jerseys around. And Calvin gets possession back. They've had it now for a few seconds, as we've talked about just what was going on there. It's been the kind of day it's been for the Firebirds. But then we also see some of this, too, out of Calvin, as David Blackman struggles to find the ball, and that means that the attack momentarily pauses for the Knights. Now he struggles to hold on to his stick. Finally, he decides to get rid of it, almost throws it over the head of Jordan Warners. It is an intense game. Thinking about going with the stick over the right shoulder, Joshua Moyer. Ball gets lost for a moment, but it is controlled again by the Knights. Bledsoe. Spin move for Cole McKinney. McKinney gets around the defender, sends it over to the other side, bounces off the stick of Bledsoe, and that goes out of bounds. There are not numbers for completed passes when it comes to lacrosse, at least not formal numbers on the NCAA stats that are produced, but I'll tell you what, today, these are some numbers that if they were available to the coaches, they'd go back during film during the week and say, we need to improve this, both sides. And I get it, it's a breezy day out here. Maybe that's impacting some of these passes. As well as a cold day, which can affect the concentration for 18 to 22-year-olds, but some of the execution today has just been a struggle. Shot and a goal, Andrew Johnson. We're back to equal at 5. One and out. Go to the reigning CCIW Offensive Player of the Week. Johnson now with 2 goals in the contest. And we are once again equal at 5. Ties and lead changes. It has been a back and forth contest. Calvin went up 1-0. Carthage was up 2-1. Carthage was up 3-2. Carthage was up 4-3. Calvin was up 5-4. Carthage wins the faceoff. Carthage shot. Save for Carter Sherman off the shot by Cameron. A lot of C's in that combination. Carthage, Calvin, Cameron, Carter, other end. Nice move, nice save, Jake Williamson. Williamson right to bounce up and down a little bit after that one. Came off the stick of Braden Carpenter, another C. Calvin does get it back, though. They'll shuffle on some new people. Riley DeSarbo. Also coming up, Colin Tebrake. He had a goal in the first quarter. First half, we should say. Coming over to the far side, a little bit beyond the stick of Nick Griffith. He chases it down, though, before it goes across the gray line, which is beyond the entire football sideline. For those of you watching at home, that is the boundary for men's lacrosse here. You get on some of these multi-use fields and it gets a little bit confusing as to which line is which as we get a turnover on the part of Calvin. Taken away, Mo Broughton. Far side, Johnson looking for the Hattie, but it's saved by Carter Sherman. You have soccer lines, obviously the gridiron football lines, men's lacrosse and women's lacrosse. Outside of the Milwaukee area, there is Hart Park in the suburb of Wauwatosa that also has team handball lines on their field as well, and you even get some ultimate frisbee played out there, although they will lay down their own lines in the form of tape. Not really much needed in terms of lines for that sport, but as we get a shot and a save, Carter Sherman once again steps up, stops the shot of Andrew Fry. You get on some of these multi-use fields and looks like a kindergartner's drawing with a bunch of scribbles on them. Hard to tell which line is which. Get confused with all of the colors and different placement of things. Successful clear for Calvin. And you see it every once in a while too, where players will get confused. In the moment, adrenaline is flowing. You're just not sure. It is the gray lines here, though. Black lines are for women's lacrosse. Gray lines are for men's lacrosse. Speaking of the gray lines, there isn't really much of a gray line for a restraining line here at the 30-yard line for football, but that is where it is. Calvin, 20 seconds left in the shot clock while I'm talking about painting AstroTurf. Jordan Warners. Far side. Coming around from X. Shot on and in. Nice move, Joshua Moyer. He had 3 goals on the season coming into today. And he gives Calvin the lead right back, 6-5. Again, neither team has been able to take control of this contest today. The lead has never been more than 1 at any point in time. But that lead is 1 right now for Calvin with 7:11 left in the third, 6-5. Coleman versus Hansen for the face-off. Violation. Calvin gets possession. See Coleman come off. We knew it was going to be more of a struggle for him today than he had faced at any point this season thus far. And indeed, it has been a challenge. See the replay of the last goal. Behind the net, Cole McKenney. Far side. Little bit of contact, not enough to draw a flag. Of course, we've already seen Ben Thomas draw a couple penalties today. Had one that resulted in a Calvin goal, then had another, an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. Carthage was able to kill that one off, but the first one was the first man-down goal that Carthage had allowed this season. We have yet to see either team on the EMO in the third quarter thus far. About 9 minutes gone in that third quarter. Calvin came in with a 1-goal lead, and that's what they have right now. 18 on the timer. Wrapping around, David Blackman didn't have much momentum behind that shot, but somehow he slipped it past Jake Williamson. Williamson maybe got caught a little bit of sleep there. Williamson's had an outstanding day. Do not get us wrong. But Blackman, right place, right time, 5-hole, and it is the first 2-goal lead of the day for either team at 7-5 in favor of the Knights. David Blackman, 6'3", 205-pound attackman, a junior out of Wheaton, Illinois. Sneaky taking Jake Williamson by surprise. Firebirds do get possession after the goal. Ball made its way to the end line. Off of Calvin. Calvin tried to save it, couldn't. There you see that shot by Blackman. Firebirds looking for an answer here. Ben Kroc. On the angle! Near side! My goodness, Ben Kroc! That cuts the lead back to 1. Ben Kroc puts it right under the armpit of Carter Sherman. That was a narrow window. But in the end, he was a pain. 7-6. Goodness, this one has been fun. Love to put this one in the left-hand column so you can show these highlights and talk about an outstanding victory. Violation on the face-off. Foul comes after the face-off was executed. Should say, correct that. That is not a face-off violation as much as a foul. Watch this on the replay. Gets the dodge, goes around a second defender, and look at where he puts this ball. Right over, I said armpit, it was right over the left shoulder. And we should, of Sherman as we get another goal. Talking about the last goal. And Carthage strikes again. And it is Andrew Johnson. Hats off. He's got 3. And we're back to tied at 7. When you're the Firebirds and you need somebody to put you on your back, Andrew Johnson can be that guy. Firebirds went down 2. Now have it back to tied once again. Firebirds get possession off the face-off. Johnson, far side. Replay of that Johnson goal. Gets it. Little shifty move. Goes back the other way. on frame, actually. There was Johnson. Johnson coming from X. Stand corrected there. Pass came from, looked like that might have been Sisney there. We'll check on that. No assist was given. Johnson came from X there. Of course, I was in the middle of talking about the previous replay. Didn't have a chance to see it live, but there you have it. We are back tied at 7. 20 seconds on the timer now for Carthage. Andrew Fry to the near side. On the ground, picked up by Ben Kroc. Firebirds, gotta hurry. Kroc coming forward, gets around one defender, goes around a second. Coming from X, Johnson loses the ball. It's picked up by Calvin. Ground ball pickup for Josh Gage. We've talked about the turnovers he has caused today. He is also a fiend when it comes to picking up ground balls as well. Gage takes it back from the near side and Drew Garrison. Hansen, the face-off man for the Knights, led the team in ground balls coming into today with 13. However, Garrison, among the regular field players, was the top man with 11 entering this contest. Shot up above the goal. They do say that it ricocheted off of Williamson. So a fresh 60 for the Knights as they try and retake this lead with just under 3 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Spinning move near the top. Shot! Looking to go over the left shoulder of Williamson, but it is wide. Joshua Moyer, after the shot, he was ready to go. The officials were not. He was disappointed about that. Another shot that also goes wide that actually hits off of Moyer from Smith. That's the dangerous things about being at X, and if you know anything about the history of lacrosse in the state of Wisconsin, you know that there has been one Division I NCAA tournament game that has been played in this state. It involved Marquette, and it was that exact scenario that cost the Golden Eagles when they played North Carolina. I believe that was 2015. After all these years, my memory is starting to fail me. Might have been 2016, in which the Golden Eagles fell to Carolina. Shot timer at 1. It's going to run out whether or not the Firebirds get this ground ball. Indeed, they give the Firebirds possession, both because they won the ground ball and because the shot clock ran out. Johnson, far side. We'll talk a little bit about Tar Heels versus Golden Eagles after things settle down a little bit here. Westland. Yeah, it was 9-8, North Carolina, with the lead on Marquette. Marquette had possession at the end of the game. Took a shot with about 15 seconds left. Had it just gone beyond the goal, as it normally does, no issue, Marquette gets possession back. However, it hits off the guy at X. Carolina gets the ground ball. Not only do they win that game, they go on to win the national championship. Occupational hazard sometimes. Shot just beyond the goal. Johnson looking for goal number 4. Nifty fake. Couldn't put it on frame against Carter Sherman. Sherman's a big body in goal there. Mentioned his size. 5'7", 180 pounds. A little over a minute left, 15 on the shot timer. Carthage takes their time, looks for a good opportunity. Kroc. Waiting to see. It looked like I saw an indication of a reset. They're not going to give it to him. 10 on the timer. Johnson coming from the corner. 10 seconds is plenty of time for him, though. Looking for an open man. Can't find one. Goes on the dive. Shot and save by Sherman. And any way you slice it, it's going to be Calvin possession. Unless they call an off-ball push, which they did. Or push in the back, yes, and they will give Carthage a fresh 60 seconds. Timeout taken by the Firebirds. Every decision in this game is crucial. Lucky Sevens on the board with 47.9 remaining in the third quarter. And this one has been, as advertised, outstanding. Calvin 7, Carthage 7. We will actually keep it here, as we do want to mention your next opportunity to see men's lacrosse in action here at Art Keller Field. That will be tomorrow when the Carthage Firebirds take on Lawrence. Coming down from the Appleton area. Mentioned that Carthage playing 2 games in 2 days. Not the easiest thing for any men's lacrosse team. And, Calvin, give them credit too. Gutsy enough to come up here to take on this Carthage team one day after taking on Ben U yesterday. But it'll be Carthage and Lawrence tomorrow at 1 p.m. We will have that here on live.carthage.edu. Although, if you are in the Kenosha area, certainly consider making your way out to Art Keller Field to see it in person. Or, if you come out here, grab your mobile device, pull up live.carthage.edu, and about 30 seconds after you see what happens, you'll hear me talking about it. Again, Carthage and Lawrence tomorrow, 1 o'clock, right here at Art Keller Field. We still have at least 15 minutes, 47.9 seconds of lacrosse, however, in this contest. And it's Calvin and Carthage tied at 7. Yeah, push in the back. Gives Carthage the ball back, and let's see if they decide to hold on to it for a healthy 20-25 seconds here before this quarter comes to an end. Heading back towards point. Fry to the near side. Carthage is going to play this out. They're just going to look for the best opportunity they can get no matter when that is. Near side, there is that opportunity. Great shot by Jacob Cameron, but it is right into the stick of Carter Sherman. Pops out of his pocket. He sends it over to the near side. Dylan Mount. Plenty of time here for Calvin to maybe get on the board before the end of the quarter. Ball is picked up after it was rolling on the ground by Joshua Moyer. Blackman. Near side. Warners. Looking for a dodge. Takes the shot anyway. Knocked down by Williamson. Williamson will control, and that is the end of the third quarter. This one's going to go to the wire, kids. We're through 3, and we're tied at 7. This is Firebirds Lacrosse. What a great battle this one has been through 3 quarters. Cannot rule out the possibility that 60 minutes might not be enough to decide this one, given that it is 7-7 after 45 minutes of lacrosse here on this Saturday afternoon at Art Keller Field. This 4th quarter is going to be a war. Face-offs in this contest, dead even. 8-1 by Carthage, 8-1 by Calvin. This one is won by the Firebirds, Chad Coleman. The laser out of Delafield, Wisconsin, Kettle Moraine. Firebirds start with possession to begin the 4th quarter. Cameron sends it in the direction of Croc. It goes over the midfield line. Calvin able to pick it up. They'll go in transition. Cole McKinney, now he settles. Calvin rotates new personnel on. Warner's unmarked over to the far side, and Cole McKinney. McKinney. Little contact. McKinney still with it. Spins one way, spins the other. Sends it over to the near side, and Christian Kohler. At X, Thomas Smith. He has been dangerous today. Spins, little underhanded shot. Not even facing the goal. We have a Firebird down. We have an official timeout. It looked like the shot actually hit Josh Flores. Flores looks like he's in some pain. Didn't see where that one caught him. Just down on his front right now. This is part of the reason why in the women's game, which is played very differently than the men's game, I'm assuming most of the folks who are watching this contest today are familiar with the ways and nature of lacrosse, so I'm guessing most of you know. But just in case some of you out there are not necessarily familiar with the game of lacrosse, as we do see Flores get back up, the junior, 6'4", 200 pounds, out of Matabele, Minnesota. In the women's game, they don't wear pads. So you can't take a shot like that, as that's a shot, and couldn't really see from that angle. Hate to make an assumption or not on what happened. Might have even caught him with the stick, too, but could have been in the midsection, could have been in a sensitive area that's a little bit lower. Whatever it is, looks like he was able to walk off under his own power and should be okay. Shot up and over the top. Wasn't quite sure if that caught the crossbar or if it was saved by Jake Williamson. Nonetheless, Firebirds are there, and they get possession back. Now going on the clear. At times this has been a struggle for the Firebirds today. Long pole to long pole, far side. Lucas Baki. He loses it. Possession taken. Drew Garrison. Knights moving in the wrong direction, though. Sent forward. Gets under the stick of Kohler. Picked up by the Firebirds. Gurn. Wants to get forward and just touch this up, yeah. Comes back. Jake Westland. Now the Firebirds can relax a little. Yeah, at times both teams today have gotten a little bit caught up in the frenetic nature of what goes on in midfield and scrambly one direction, the other direction, and something for both coaches, David Neff and Dave Hoger, to work on this week with their respective teams. Of course, Carthage has a game tomorrow, taking on Lawrence. Underhanded shot. Finds the net of Carter Sherman. Both Sherman and Williamson have been in goal the entire day for both of these teams. On the attempted clear, ball is knocked down. Stick flies out of the hand of the Calvin Knights defenseman, Ben Dilly. Possession taken by Carthage. Shot and a goal! And just like that, the Firebirds adjust. It is Andrew Fry. And the Firebirds take the lead 8-7. As we're talking about some of the chaos on some of these loose balls, the Firebirds see the opportunity off some chaos. Fry, largely unmarked, puts it on and in. Firebirds have not spent a lot of time in the lead in this contest. Calvin has had the biggest lead in this game. It was just 2 goals. Now the Firebirds are back up. Tough fight for this face-off victory. Still on the ground. It will be won by the Firebirds. Sam Wallace with a ground ball pickup. Gurn. Back to Croc. Croc will allow the Firebirds to get their attackman on. There you see it. Calvin with nobody around. And that allows Fry to score. 8-7. Carthage trying to get their first 2-goal lead of the day. Near side, Fry, he had the last goal. Looking for a screen. Comes back the other direction off of it. Shot. Goes beyond. Johnson was the closest. Johnson will start this off. He does get a screen. Looks to go pick and roll, not there. Sends it back towards the top. Fry over to the far side. Croc. Around a man. Back to X. To Johnson. We all know what Johnson can do. Comes one way, comes the other. Over the top of the goal. Shot. Save for Carter Sherman. Croc. Couldn't get it to go. Coming way out of the net is Carter Sherman. Trying to shorten this clear. Time starting to run down. Sherman almost takes it across himself. Ball gets away. Goes out of bounds. At least it looked like it went out of bounds. Kind of tough to tell over there. I didn't even think it went over the gray line. Possession taken by the Firebirds nonetheless. Okay, it's actually the white line over there by the football sideline. Again, tough to tell some of these lines over here. At least that is where the pylon is, so. Coming back to the near side. Firebirds again trying to increase this lead to 2 goals. A little over 9 minutes left. Shot on. At first, Fry thought it was in. He actually pumped his fist as if he was celebrating. Then he saw the ball skitter back behind the goal. Firebirds able to keep possession, though. Westland. Flag flies. If the Firebirds can't score here, they will go on the EMO. 8 seconds on the possession timer. Johnson. Double teamed. Unsurprising. 2-1. Time runs out in the possession, but the Firebirds will maintain possession after we find out the foul. Looks like it is called on Drew Garrison. First time he will visit the sin bin this year. He'll take a knee. 1 minute for a slash. Technicals have not really been a thing in this contest. Everything that's been called has been of the 1 minute variety. Firebirds go a man up. From the near side wing, we'll get it started with Croc. Special teams have been very, very good to the Firebirds this year. Near side, Croc again. Over to the far side, Westland. He and Cameron have been so good when the Firebirds have been a man up. To the near side, Johnson, you know what he can do. Takes the shot. It's knocked up and over the goal by Carter Sherman. Surprised to not see a shot clock reset there. I thought Sherman got a piece of it. Officials say it goes high. 30 seconds left in the foul. Spinning around, Gurn. That goes wide. Alec Gurn looking for his 5th man-up goal of the year. 20 seconds left in the man-up situation. The extra man opportunity. However you want to say it, however you want to slice it. Firebirds want to go up 2. Shot. Once again, Sherman. Time running down in the EMO. Croc to the near side. Johnson looks for Gurn. Finds Gurn. Gurn takes the shot. That'll do it for the EMO for the Firebirds. They do not capitalize, but they still have possession. Whether or not it's a man up, they'll still take a goal. Shot. That is that goal. And it might not come man up, but it does come for Jake Westland, the junior out of Cottage Grove, Minnesota. And the Firebirds are up 2-9-7. Double twos makes it a 2-goal lead for Carthage. Biggest lead of the day for the Firebirds, and it comes with 7:23 left in the contest. Firebirds stepping up when they need to. Coleman versus Hansen at the dot. This time it's won by Hansen and the Knights. Been a while since Calvin's had some possession. They'll try and eat into that 2-goal lead for the Firebirds. Unfamiliar position for the Knights today. Unfamiliar position for the Knights this season, to be honest with you. There's the replay of that goal. The Knights losing Jake Westland on the far side. Back to live action, though, in front of the goal. Nobody marking Joshua Moyer. And Moyer now has a multiple goal day to his credit. Back to a 1-goal lead, 8-7. Moyer's second goal of the contest. Moyer has 2. Thomas Smith has 2. Calvin still down 1, though. For Carthage, it's Johnson with the hat trick. You also have Westland with 2 goals and Gurn with 2 goals today. Face off. A lot of pushing. Ball kicked towards the sideline, but not controlled by Calvin. Oh, and after kicking the ball, Jackson Engbers is going to be kicking himself. Firebirds will get possession. Sometimes it's tough for those long poles to get that stick under the ball. That basket is a long ways away for some of those guys. Tough play there for the LSM out of Holland, Michigan. But Engbers could not control. Now the Firebirds trying to make it a 2-goal lead once again. To the near side. Fry. Tries to go 5-hole, but Sherman goes to a knee and is able to stop it. Little cutback move on the far side for Drew Garrison. Sends it forward over the top of his intended target. Ball still on the ground. A lot of contact. Ben Thomas already has a couple penalties on the day. He's got to be careful. Once Calvin does get possession, they take a timeout. 5:49 remaining in this fourth quarter. Don't go anywhere. Carthage 9, Calvin 8. This is Firebirds Lacrosse. A back and forth tilt, as expected here at Art Keller Field today. A blustery day in the southeast corner of the state of Wisconsin. Calvin Knights find themselves down 1 to Carthage right now, 9-8. But they have possession. Thomas Smith on that far side we've mentioned. A multiple goal day for him. He'll get things started back up from the wing for the Knights. Moving forward, Christian Kohler back to X. David Blackman. Smith wants to shoot. Falling down, he shoots. Goes wide of the mark. Smith so desperate to shoot there that even as he lost his footing, he still wanted to try and put it on net. Maybe not his best effort, however, Calvin maintains possession. For some reason, the shot clock had reset to the full 80. Definitely should not happen. The officials say that shot was not on frame, so they put it back at 38 seconds. A floating pass. Couldn't tell exactly who that was intended for. Christian Kohler was there. Smith, with space, takes the shot. That goes wide. Knights will hold on. Coming across the end line into the wing area. Warner's still with it. Gets a screen from Smith. Gives it back to Smith. 10 seconds on the timer. Smith spins. Well marked. Pass. Outside. Shot. Off the mark for Kohler. 4 seconds left for Calvin on this possession. Let's see if Smith even decides to do anything with it. Nope. He's going to send it over to the west side of Art Keller Field. That is a surrender. That is a turnover. Carthage possession. This one is definitely way too close right now for Carthage to think about sitting on it in any way. They want to try to get to double digit on the scoreboard on this possession. Sent forward, Paddock. Spins around, looking for a teammate to get the ball to. Does send it over to the far side. Kroc. Back, Jake Westland. Calvin starting to get aggressive. Chuck McKenney, brother of Cole McKenney, who we've seen on the attack much of the day. Not able to get there. Near side, Kroc. Looking for a screen. Gets one. Gets another from Fry. Shot goes wide of the mark. Johnson will get things started once again. Coming out of the corner. He gets a screen. Gives it up. Another pass in front of the goal. Shot. And it's in. Handshakes all around as Alec Gurn. Right place, right time. 10-8. Carthage back up 2. When needed, Carthage with some outstanding movement of the ball. And Gurn is there for the finish. Big face-off here. Looking around, Chad Coleman got a little lost there. However, the ball came down at first to Sam Wallace. Wallace couldn't hold on. Gets away from him, still down. You see the physicality. This is what we love about this sport, kids. But possession is won by the Knights. Cole McKenney. He sends it back to Christian Kohler. A lot of Coles to talk about on this cold day in Kenosha. Thomas Smith. The focal point of this Calvin attack. He'll take the shot from 20 yards out. Instead, he moves up to 10 yards out. He loses the ball. Picked up by Carthage. They go back the other direction. With the long pole, it's Schugel. And you know those long pole guys, or we should say Schugel actually carrying the short pole right now. My apologies. Schugel gets some pats on the head as he comes back to the bench area. Schugel talked about right place, right time on the goal. Right place, right time for that ground ball pickup. Quickly heads back the other direction. And now up 2, with a little over 2 minutes left, this is an opportunity for Carthage to run some clock. Now it's all about precise passing. Tough spot for Calvin here, and you see Chuck McKinney comes up. He's going to challenge. Ben Kroc, just keep the ball in that pocket, get by the defender when he comes forward like that. From the back, shot! Wide of the mark. Johnson heads over to pick it up quickly. 14 on the timer. Carthage has burned a lot of clock here. Johnson. Outside, Fry! Wide. Went off the side of the net. Sherman picks up the ball inside the crease. Kind of short-armed that pass at first. Ben Dilly. Nervous moments there. He gave it back up to Sherman. Now they'll go up the other side, Willow-Knights. On the near side, David Blackman gets past George Mobrotten. Loses the ball. Goes out. Who was it off of? It's off of Calvin! A big time to force a turnover for the Firebirds. George Mobrotten should be happy with himself. Ten-man ride. Carthage tries to take a shot from long distance. It goes beyond the net, and the closest man there is wearing red. Calvin gets possession back. Maybe a little bit too eager there on the part of the Firebirds in that 10-man ride. The goalie comes out of the net. The net is wide open. You see it every once in a while. Those are highlight reel goals when they're scored from beyond midfield. But there's also not necessarily a reason in this situation to try and take that shot. You're up 2. Saw David Neff come off the sideline. Don't know if he was real happy with that one. Coming around, Carpenter. Still with it. Falls down, loses the ball. Picked up by Calvin. Once, twice by Jordan Warners. Warners goes to his right. He loses the ball. Knocked back to Williamson by Ben Thomas, and that is a huge turnover again. And it looks like the Firebirds are going to pull this one off. The time is at 15. A back and forth game. But some key goals and some key defense. And the Firebirds are going to walk away as 2-goal winners. 10-8. And you can see the Firebirds on the near side jumping up and down, and they've got reason to celebrate. A big momentum-building win for the Firebirds as they take down the Calvinites 10-8 here at Art Keller Field on a blustery Saturday, February afternoon in Kenosha. What a day for the Firebirds. They score 3 goals in the fourth quarter. Fry, Westland, and Gurn. They surrender just 1 to Josh Moyer. And after going into the fourth, tied at 7, the Firebirds are better in the final 15, particularly on the defensive end, and they come away as 10-8 winners. A hard-fought battle, as expected here at Art Keller Field today, but the Firebirds come out on top. This is going to be a fun one to watch the highlights for, folks. We'll also talk about the final stats, and we'll preview tomorrow's game against Lawrence. After we take a quick break, handshakes, smiles all around for the team wearing all black today as the Firebirds are 2-goal victors. This is Carthage Lacrosse. Nice moment at the end of the game as both teams come together for a quick prayer around midfield. Sportsmanship, such an important part of Division III athletics at the NCAA level. One team had to take their first loss today. It was not the Carthage Firebirds. It was the Calvin Knights as they fall to the Firebirds in an outstanding game. 10-8 your final score in this one. Some final stats on the screen for you. The Firebirds, 7 of their 10 goals were assisted, 4 of 8 for the Calvin Knights. In the end, the Firebirds, after getting outshot heavily in the first half, end up winning the total shots battle as well, 42-39. Ground balls, they did go in favor of Calvin, 36-24. Carthage did turn the ball over 16 times compared to 14 for Calvin, and we did say that both teams had some trouble clearing the ball today. Both teams failed clears 5 times each. Carthage had 2 fewer clears. They go 17 of 22. Calvin goes 19 of 24 on the clear today. It was 7-7 when we started the fourth quarter. Carthage gets on the board first in the fourth quarter with an Andrew Fry goal assisted by Josh Flores. Then it was Jake Westland who made it 9-7 in favor of Carthage. He scores with 7:23 remaining in the fourth quarter, assisted by Ben Kroc. Calvin does answer back. Josh Moyer gets a goal assisted by Jordan Warners. But then Carthage gets the final goal of the game with 3:52 remaining. Alec Gurn assisted by Kroc. Kroc with 2 big assists in the fourth quarter. Carthage Firebirds do come away as 10-8 winners over the previously unbeaten Calvin Knights today. Some of those individual numbers for you today for Carthage. We keep on talking about this Andrew Johnson kid out of Lakeville, Minnesota, the graduate student. A 5'9", 170-pound attackman, and he can do it all. We've talked about his assists quite a bit this season. Guess what? He needed to score today, and he did. 3 goals on the day for him, a hat trick for him. Also a hat trick for Alec Gurn. He leads the Firebirds in goals scored with 22 now on the season. 2 goals on the day for Jake Westland, 1 each for Kroc and Fry. Kroc with 4 assists today, playing a little bit more of that Johnson role of being the distributor, but it worked for him. Also an assist for Fry and Johnson today. Kroc leads the way with 5 points in the contest. Leading shooter was Fry, as is normally the case for the Firebirds, with 10. Turnovers again were an issue at times today for the Firebirds. Johnson did have 4. By the way, from the face-off dot, Chad Coleman, and we talked about this, the fact that this was going to be a good battle at the face-off dot today. Coleman ends up winning 11 of 19 face-offs today. We did also see Joey Workman out there a couple times where he won 1 of 2, but Coleman, in the end, struggling a little bit early on, but then getting the feel and winning more of those face-offs. And to be honest with you, too, and this is such a good matchup between these two teams. I would be interested in seeing what this matchup would have looked like had Calvin not had to play a game yesterday. I think it would have been even more even than it was if Calvin wasn't coming off of a game yesterday at Ben U going up against Benedictine, because it did seem like in that third and fourth quarter, playing a second game in a second day, maybe the Knights started to fade just a little bit. You saw some of those team stats that were up there. That ground ball number got a lot closer. Obviously, the shot number ended up going in favor of the Firebirds getting more at the end of the day. After early on in the contest, the shot advantage was very much in favor of Calvin. Maybe they tried to even come out fast knowing that they were playing their second game in 2 days, and it just didn't end up working out for them in the end. But the Firebirds, hey, you do what you have to take advantage, and you're going up against a team that's played in consecutive days. You know what? You're fresh, you're rested. You do what you have to in the fourth quarter. It's just how it breaks down. A lot of these student athletes, they're in great peak physical condition. Of course, we mentioned earlier, 18 to 22-year-olds. These guys are used to running around all day, all night, doing their whole thing as much as they can. So, it's not maybe as much of a factor as I'm making it out to be, but it could be part of the story in the end when you're talking about exactly why this game went the way that it did. Over on the other side for Calvin, by the way, you had 2 multi-goal scorers for them. Mentioned that Thomas Smith was their leading goal scorer coming into this contest with 11 on the season. He now has 13 after he scored 2 goals. Also, Joshua Moyer had 2 goals in the contest. He now has 5 on the season. T-Break, Blackman, Bledsoe, and Carpenter, each with 1 goal for the Knights in this contest. 3 assists in the contest for Cole McKenney. He had 4 assists on the season coming into this one, so he now has 7 on the year. Also 1 for Warners. Leading shooter for the Calvin Knights was Smith with 9 shots in the contest. And in the end, from the face-off dot, it was Hansen, 8 of 20 on the day. He was winning 64% of his face-offs coming into this afternoon. He was doing well against Coleman, again, in the first half, really in the first three quarters, but things started to kind of slip away from him as the game went on. So there you have it, folks. The Carthage Firebirds walk away as 2-goal winners over the Calvin Knights in their first of 2 games in 2 days. And tomorrow, we will be right back here at Art Keller Field as the Firebirds take on Lawrence University. Start time for that game will be 1 o'clock. I will be standing in this very same spot, on this very same square of carpet that I am standing on right now at Art Keller Field, to bring you the call of that contest as the Firebirds take on Lawrence and try and improve their record to 6-0 on the season, having won their first 5 contests of the year, including this good one against Calvin today. Again, 1 o'clock start time for that one. We will see you right here on live.carthage.edu if we do not see you in person here at Art Keller Field. My thanks to everyone involved with the broadcast. You see the credits on screen. Executive producer Mike Love. Director Laura Stockham. Laura always doing a great job. Raylan Raditz on replay. Ben Gillespie and Yam Bumba on cameras today. My name is Dan Pfeifer. I am saying be a fan. Thanks for joining us, and do see us again in about 22 hours when the Firebirds take on Lawrence. Today, though, it was the Firebirds getting a victory over the Knights of Calvin. 10-8 is your final score. This has been a presentation of Firebird Broadcast Productions and Carthage College. Have a great rest of your Saturday, everybody.